So I chose for a theme for the month of September affirmation. And we know a lot about affirmations. We hear a lot about affirmations. It's no longer just a spiritual sort of thing, it's a secular thing. Affirmation, but affirmation has a lot of different meanings to different people. Tom, you have some slides. I'm going to have you put that up, and we'll just get an idea of some of the things that affirmation may not be as we think of it in the context of spiritual advancement, spiritual growth, and being all that we can be. I call them chicken affirmations, dark side affirmations, or absent-minded affirmations. Now, every Saturday at 4 o'clock, I do what we call Saturday Soul Boost. I give in a nugget what we discuss here on Sunday morning. And we do that online. And I've taken to the habit of sharing cartoons. And I thought, well, why not share them with you again this morning when we talk about so here we go, chicken affirmations. Tom, will you advance the slide? So make me smaller so there they can see. So here's chicken affirmations. You know, the idea when you just get all pumped up, you're going to do it. You're going to do it or else. And, well, that's kind of a chicken affirmation. This is the day to make things happen. I'm going to cluck like I mean it. And then dark side affirmations. These are really the affirmation that, go ahead, Tom, if you will. That Alan Cohn was talking about, those which are not accompanied by belief. I can't hardly see it, Tom. Can you put that bar down in the bottom? Will it go down any place, or will it go any place? There we go. It's up on the top. The guy's saying, if I don't think it's going to work, will it work? Well, that's a dark-sided affirmation. And then one more. Tom, if you will. That's the absent-minded affirmation, the one that doesn't really connect with life. You're into the idea of affirmations, and you're looking in the mirror and you're saying to yourself that you can accomplish anything. This is just a bluster, and then your wife, as in this cartoon, says, dear, when you're through with your affirmations, don't forget to put on your trousers. So those are a couple of somewhat humorous, but things that are talked about when we talk about affirmations. But I want to go on now to how I'm going to take a look at affirmations, and I'm going to do this as an overview for what we're going to do all the month of September. So we won't get real deeply into any one of the things we talk about this morning, because we're going to talk about 4 levels of consciousness, 4 different steps and stages in the affirmation process. So let's go ahead and jump. Oh, first of all, what is an affirmation? I'm going to give you one that I'm going to work with. And this is 100 years old or so, but I like it a lot. Affirmation, to affirm, more to the point, to using the verb, the infinitive, to affirm is to hold steadfast in mind or to speak aloud a statement of truth. To hold steadfast in mind. This really connects with where we were in the month of August when we're talking about holding focus. And now we're putting legs to it as we talk about affirmation. To hold in steadfastly in your mind and to speak out clearly the truth that you know and the truth that you are. So let's jump on, if we can get to the next slide, Tom, so we can see that. No more cartoons. That's enough. So here we go. On the left, you see I have an affirmation scale, and then going down 4 rows. In the middle, a level of consciousness that goes with us, and the right, how life affects me when you're in that state of consciousness, or when you're affirming in that sort of way. And I will deal a little bit with the first one this week, and then the subsequent weeks of this month we'll deal with the others. But we're going to give you an overview so that you can kind of get a framework to work with when we're talking about affirmation. Remember the affirmation, holding steadfast in mind or speaking clearly the truth. We should just talk a moment about truth. The truth is not some body of work that somebody wrote and put together. The truth is not even the tenets of a creed or a credo. The truth is that which comes from within us, that spirit-born body of this is truth. And it may look a little different to you than it looks to me. But there is many things that are so universal, and we affirm them. And then individually we affirm the things that are the truth for us. Okay. Number one, denial. In Unity, we talk about denials and affirmations. The interesting thing about denials and affirmations is one is a rejection, and the other is an acceptance, a welcoming, a statement positive to go with it. So sometimes we have to get to the denials first before we can get to the affirmation. We have to say, this doesn't have any power over me. This is what I want. So we're talking about denial, but denial on the process of moving to affirmation and bringing our heart's desires to us in the process. Now, in that center column, I talk about a level of consciousness. Denial is the state where you say, I can't. As in the title of our message, from I can't to I am, I can't. I'm limited. Life is doing it to me. June is doing it to me. Didn't mean to pick on you, June. But my work is doing it to me. Our society is doing it to me. You're in this victim consciousness. You are a victim. And in that victim place, you have no power. But that's not the truth of it. The truth is that you can move from that denial of something that you don't like, that you would be tempted to say, I'm a victim of that. Move from that to the affirmation, to the clear statement of truth as you know it. Now that truth wells up within you, so don't think it's hard to find. That's the work we're going to be talking about as we go through this month. So that's that first affirmation, a stop on the affirmation scale. Then we move along to the second one, the choice to affirm. I choose to affirm. At some point, if you don't like what you've got, you switch gears and you say, this is what I want. I choose to affirm this. Now, that may not instantly produce what you choose to affirm, but it's a very important step. It's still sort of a step in our outside world, the world outside of ourselves. But I choose to affirm this, and I want to do this and this to enhance that choice. I choose. Now that's what we call a victor. Suddenly you're claiming, I am no longer limited. I am no longer a victim. I am a victor. Things done by me, as you see that on the right-hand side, are what is the nature of this victor consciousness, this affirmation, this choice to affirm what we want in our life. I want to emphasize just a little bit again, the speaking. Don and I sometimes remind each other, lovingly of course, that what we just said may not be where we want to go. What we've spoken, those words that we have spoken have power, and we may still be back in that victim place unless we choose words even. We speak out into the universe that which we want. There's from the wisdom books in the Hebrew scriptures, from Proverbs, this simple statement. Even, I'm putting the word even in there to go, even death and life are in the power of the tongue. Even death and life. So be careful what you say. Sometimes we take this and translate it and we say, be careful what you put after I am. I am sick. I'm exhausted. I'm broke. Be careful what you put after I am. Be careful how you use your speech, because it is powerful and it will produce in your life often what you speak into the universe. Let's go on to that third on the scale, the affirmation scale, affirming myself and others. Now we're making a switch here. Those first two were kind of out on the outside of us. We're out there proclaiming victory. We're out there suffering as a victim. But now suddenly we do the flop and we get to something within. Now when we begin to affirm ourselves and others, we look to do it not just in words that are easily put together, niceties or anything like that. We look to do it as the Spirit comes through us to gift our neighbor, our friend, with that which is not only us on the outside and doing some nice things, but the Spirit within coming through us. And that's why we say it's as me, that vessel consciousness. It's as though you become the vessel, both for yourself and for others, of the blessing of Spirit. That's an affirmation that comes from within, but it's still not quite all the way where we want to go. Because even that idea that the Spirit within is flowing through me, I'm a vessel for that, that still at some point is saying it's something a little bit other than me that's doing the work. And if we would go full tilt all the way, we would go to that fourth affirmation on the scale, living my affirmation. Not just saying the words, not even just getting disciplined and saying, I'm going to say this 100 times and then it'll become true. But actually living us, that living in the Spirit, taking from that Spirit within us that is just wanting to flow out, and then also taking the inspiration of Spirit to act in a certain way. This is what is called verity consciousness. And verity consciousness is simple. This is the truth. This is the truth of who I am. And thus we associate that I am with this verity consciousness, because we say, is me, not as we did before, to me or by me or as me, but is me. That's why we often, when we're sitting together as prayer chaplains, we will take some of those 12 powers, Unity's 12 powers, and we will say, I am life. And it will refer it to someone that we're praying with who maybe has some questions about their health or their life. Or I am strength when someone is feeling weak. And see, we've gone beyond to say, I'm strong. We've gone to the I am. These are divine gifts within us. And embodying them and becoming a part of them is the empowerment, as Alan Cohen says, that produces belief, the track on which we run to affirmation and the manifestation of that which we desire. So when we get to the stage where we say, I am, we've turned the corner on belief. Now, does that mean that we're going to instantly be showered with a shower of belief and then we've got it all of a sudden? No, because sometimes it's a process to build belief. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the fourth Sunday this month. But I wanted to give you this framework and to give you the vision to say, wherever I am, and for different things in your life, different desires, they're going to be different. I'm at this stage. I'm at that stage. I'm exhibiting this conscious. I'm doing this by me, or this is being done to me. But to recognize where we're at and to begin to look at the next step that we can take, to look forward in affirmation to the fulfillment of our desires and the manifestation of that. How many of you have sometimes made an affirmation and made it a little bit lightly and kind of forgot about it after a while? And then you look at it a year later because you wrote it down someplace, and sure enough, elements of that have happened in your life. Maybe not fully, but that's happened. Well, what about if you hold that steadfastly? What about if you speak it clearly and hold to that? You're going to find that after that year, or maybe even sooner, that which you desire is going to be there for you. Now, in my life, I was thinking about how I would choose that as an example. In my life, I've had the wonderful opportunity to do quite a bit of traveling. And to do that in ways where I actually was able to sit in and with a particular culture. And in that sitting with, just be enriched by the diversity of life throughout various parts of the world, various cultures. I've just had that opportunity in North America, in Central America, in Asia, in Europe. I have had some of these opportunities, and I've been blessed by that. But you know what? Somehow, somewhere, very early along the line, I decided that I was going to choose to travel. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to travel. No longer was I going to say, I don't have the money to travel. I don't have the opportunity. I don't have anybody to travel with. I just chose to do that. At some point, it got to where my belief was so strong that nothing seemed impossible. Oh, yes, I often arrived back from some of those travels with nickels in my pocket and nothing more. But I had the wonderful experience of that travel because I affirmed in my belief and in my speech that all of those things were possible. Now, sadly, I've let that go a little bit. I've kind of said, well, I may be beyond that stage in my life, traveling. But I'm delighted to know that it's being reawakened, and I think it's a great time when I'm talking about affirmation. Donna and I have a common interest. She, because she's doing research for some writing that she's doing. Me, because I was born into a family that stretches back in time, my ancestry, to a particular place. And that place is Cornwall in England. So Donna's doing research about Cornwall. I'm always wondering exactly what town and what it was like, and I've never been to Cornwall. So we are affirming at this point that that's going to be possible. We've set up a Cornwall fund. We don't have the budget yet, but we've set up a Cornwall fund to do that. And we have a vague plan, and we know that that will change and be enriched along the way. But what we want to do is to live that, to make full the belief that we have, to build it at every chance. That's what it means like. But what about for you? What can you do to move up this scale, to move into a higher level of consciousness in your affirmation so that you do manifest in your life what you desire? It's possible. Remember in the Christian scriptures that I like this because it seems so impossible and thus so very attractive as well. Jesus is speaking, or reported to be speaking, in Mark 11. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes what he says will come to pass, it will be done for him. That's the goal, friends. That's the goal. To get to that place where we have built belief, when we have lived it enough that it becomes the truth for us, and it does happen. Nothing is impossible. So other traditions have things that are similar to affirmations. And I like that we can learn just a little bit from those. In the Buddhist tradition, there are statements called gathas, G-A-T-H-A-S. They're little meditational verses. And they're meant to draw our attention to the present time and to what we hope to achieve, or what we affirm that we will achieve. Those times that are quiet times are the time to really empower the desires that we have. Really build belief. Really get closer and closer as we move up that level of levels of consciousness to where we are regularly producing, manifesting that which we desire. Now, in some things it's going to go a little slower, some things it's going to go a little quicker, but nothing is impossible. Remember the words of Lao Tzu. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So you get to start today. You get to identify where you are on the scale. Ask the question of, what is the truth of this matter? What is the underlying spiritual truth of this matter? And then to set your sights at moving up that scale from victim to victor, to vessel, to verity. We'll talk about all these things. I put together a key spiritual truth, just so we have something to hang on to. As I rise up in spiritual awareness, I manifest my heart's desires, and so it is.